Mateo.
Not Mateo. No, he's awful.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
really good. I'm just kidding. That's the guy I go to.
Mateo.
Yeah.
No, he kills it. He always has.
He's amazing. I can't do it. I tried to go to somebody else, and I was like, no, this is never gonna happen again.
Everett's been cutting my hair since I moved here, so it's.
Oh, Everett.
Hello, everybody.
What up?
Hello, hello.
Thanks for joining us. We're just having a little bit of banter here. Welcome back to the Infinite Variety Show. I'm Cameron, and with me I have my good friends Evan and Eddie. And we're waiting on Ronnie. That boy's late.
As per usual.
What are you going to do?
Usual.
What are you going to do? We are closing in on the end of season 1 of this show, which is kind of exciting. This is episode 8 of 10 that we're going to do in this format, and then we're going to come back in January with some fresh formatting and see how it goes from there.
Some goodies.
So episode 8, we're going to talk a little bit about luck, good luck, bad luck. We're going to talk a little bit about childhood. We're going to talk about whatever we want because this is a variety show, damn it.
That's right.
Speaking of bad luck, the reason this is on my mind is because I've had a bit of a stretch of bad luck lately, and it has not been the best. So let me tell you about my last few weeks in one area, right? Computers. 2 weeks ago, I don't think I talked about this on the show, but my car got broken into, right? Not only did a lot of my personal stuff get stolen, but my work laptop got stolen too, which was a huge, huge loss. Not just because it's company property. I lost a lot of documents on that computer that I really needed, you know? Mm-hmm. And so a couple days after it got stolen, I bought a new work computer. That computer lasted all of 1 day. And it broke, and so I had to send it back to the manufacturer to get fixed.
That is bad luck.
So was it like a brand new computer? Or?
Brand new computer.
What the heck?
Brand new, and it black screened, locked up. It's an Asus VivoBook. This model of computer won Best Laptop of 2018, right, for the money.
Yeah.
It's a $700 machine, and it's got a 1 terabyte hard drive and 128 gigabyte SSD. Comes with 8 gigs of RAM. Solid machine. My older one was good, right? So it really was a shock when the second one broke. Anyway, long story short, sent it in. Then I was like, well, I don't have a laptop.
Yeah.
So I brought my personal 2011 iMac in, which has been an absolute workhorse over the years. Hard drive's almost full. It's got a terabyte hard drive, which was really big back then, the biggest you could get. But it's been a workhorse, and that was about a week ago. Sitting at work today, and the iMac black screens.
No.
And goes into a reboot loop.
What are the odds of that, man? That's just
I don't know.
Bizarre.
What?
I don't know. But it's pretty annoying.
Dude, I'm sorry.
But that's neither here nor there. It's fine. We'll get past it. But yeah, I've had a little bit of bad luck. But
That's too bad, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
yeah, so what I wanna ask you guys, make me feel better, and I'll talk about it too.
We talk about our bad luck.
No.
You don't feel so alone.
I wanna know about good luck.
Oh, okay.
If you've had something extremely lucky happen to you, or if you know anybody that had something extremely lucky happen to them, please brighten my day.
Who was it that won? Has anybody won the big, the $1 billion?
Me, dude. I want it.
Was that you?
No.
You
Wow.
haven't said anything. I don't want to lose friends.
Luck.
Dude, I wish.
What luck?
Change your whole life.
No, but yeah.
Has anybody won that yet?
Tell me some good luck. I'm sure they have. Let's look it up. This is 2018. Let's see. Was that Mega Millions? Mega Millions.
Are we live?
There's somebody. Yeah, we're live. What are you talking about?
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Hello?
Anybody out there?
You in there?
Is there
Somebody-
anybody out there?
It looks like there was a winner, but they have not claimed the prize yet.
Ooh.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
Means it's up for grabs.
I would drop almost everything, including a baby, to go get that jackpot. and pay for that baby's leg surgery.
I would drop in.
Leg
Hopefully, maybe.
surgery? You assuming it's going to land on its legs?
Maybe not.
It'll land on its
Did.
feet.
I mean, he
Well-
can pay for it. It'll be fine.
I mean, if you're
It's all
out there
covered.
among our thousands and thousands of listeners, the Mega Millions winning numbers are 34, 46, 57, 65, 69 with a multiplier number of 11.
Hmm.
So if you're out there and you just found out,
We hooked you up, so hook us up.
throw me a little something.
Yeah, just
A little
hold
something,
on.
something. Well, that sucks. We don't really have any stories of good luck. What about bad luck?
I got it. It's kind of like a story of good luck.
Hit me with it.
I would say it's more of like a story of just being in the right time and just taking so much crap being in like service industry for so long.
Yeah.
You know, I
Mhm.
was like, something is bound to come at me, something great.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how COVID happened, you know?
Yeah.
I applied there once before, didn't work out. I didn't really follow up or do anything. I was just so intimidated by it. And then the guy who trained me, and I know from Medford, his name's, I won't say his name. I guess it doesn't really matter. But he messaged me 2 times on Instagram, DM on the Instagram, bro.
Oh.
Wow. Sliding right in.
Oh yeah, best person to slide into my DMs.
Mm-hmm.
That was weird. But
It's worth something.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. And like he basically was just like come in and apply again, and I pretty much just like I walked in and they're like, we'll set up an interview, and I was like, what's happening? Like I
Very
didn't even like
cool.
he didn't even look at my resume.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on?
Very cool.
So I would consider that good luck, and it's, I don't know, it's awesome.
That's awesome. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I could think of something offhand. I don't know. It's just there's been more bad news lately than good, so I have
Evan, tell us about your little bad luck experience on the way to this live stream tonight.
Oh yeah. I was like
What happened?
I was 5 minutes away. I was taking the Kirby exit over to get here into over here to Cameron's house for tonight, and there's this like, so traffic builds up really bad at this stoplight, like really bad. You'll be sitting there for like 20 minutes, just totally unnecessary. But you can get in the right lane and go down and take a right, and there's this like little U-turn around the corner, and you take the U-turn, and then bam, I like get right where I need to be. You know, what is it, Williams? It's
It's
what are those
Vancouver.
Vancouver
Yeah.
and Williams.
I think I know what you're
that
talking
go go parallel to each other.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I always take this U-turn, and usually every time, if this is like not something I like to admit, but I get kind of rebellious with it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like getting past everybody, I'm cutting corners, I'm getting mine.
I'm gonna get mine.
Yeah. But anyways, like, you know, it's a very common U-turn, but there is a sign that says no U-turns, right?
Oh no.
In the state of Oregon, it's illegal to do any U-turns unless otherwise specified.
Yeah.
So for whatever reason, they have a sign to like remind people at this part. And I was like, I'm from Vancouver, so U-turns are okay basically anywhere
Wait.
unless specified.
Did you say in Oregon they're not allowed unless clearly specified?
Yes. Yes.
Boy, I've.
Let him.
All right, never mind.
Let him finish.
So-
Let him
so-
finish.
Sorry.
So that, I mean, this was news
More
to
you know.
me.
Yeah,
this-
me too. As
this-
of right now.
But it was irrelevant because there was a sign. So I've been doing it for a long time, and I was thinking, man, you know, nobody really watches this. I wonder how many people take this U-turn. It's got to be in the thousands. Everybody's got to know about this. It's so easy. And so tonight, I came around the corner, and I was like, you know what? I had a bad feeling like I usually do, but
Oh,
tonight
dude.
tonight felt like the night where I was like, I actually almost did a double take and was like, maybe I could just go into the parking lot, turn around, then come back out. And as I was thinking, I was doing the turn, and I was like, I'm just going to U-turn it. And I spun the car, and as I spun the car, locked eyes with 2 cops just sitting there on their bikes. They're just right there.
Motorcycles?
Motorcycles.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, there it is. And so I slowed down, and I was like, is there any way I could get out of this? And I was like, oh my God. And so then, yeah, anyways, the guy pulled up behind me, and I get pulled over, and he gets out of his car, and we have a conversation. And then I look behind me, and somebody's getting pulled over right behind me. And then I look over, and there's another cop car, and there's another guy who's already been pulled over. So I guess they must have had 3 or 4 cops, maybe even more, because it looked like there was tons of people just getting pulled over everywhere. And Yeah. Anyways, he was like,
Amateur.
it's a pretty hefty fine. It's like $270.
200.
Yeah, but he was like, there's a class you can take, which will. He's like, if you show it to the judge and the officer, which will probably be him, the guy who pulled me over. He's like, if you take the class, we'll dismiss it. So he's like, just go take the class, and then he's like, just remember, drive safe or whatever. Remember, don't do U-turns, and yeah. So that was it. It's more than anything, it's just like an inconvenience because they usually schedule it in the morning at the Clark County office, or not Clark County, but Multnomah, and so you kind of have to take time off of work, and it's just a hassle. But anyways, it's not an online class either, which I saw was an option on there. He's like, I have to go to the physical class, so I have to actually go and sit down and listen to something, but. It's better. Fun. It's better than that ticket. There's a way out this time, and usually I'm not accustomed to that. Usually it's like they just slap me with $250, and they're like, "I pay it."
I had a situation where I was given a chance to take the class, and it's worth it.
Is it?
It's worth it.
Okay.
I did the online one, so it's a little easier for me.
Yeah.
It was, but it was pretty painless. It was just like, okay, yeah.
Really?
And it's
okay.
just like, all right.
Did the class cost anything?
It did cost.
Okay.
I think it was like I could either, since it was like my first like actual not parking ticket, but speeding ticket.
Yeah.
You could either, since it was my first offense, or on record at least. You could like either cut the price in half or pay the original price of the ticket, which would include the class.
Yeah.
And it would be taken off my record. And I was like, I'm for sure doing that.
Well, that's good. He gave me a lot of hope for having it completely dismissed, because he says you have a clean record, so if you keep your record clean, he's like, there's a really high chance we'll just dismiss it. He's
exactly.
like, so take the class. And I was like, okay, that's good. Which also I didn't know, because I have a couple of speeding tickets which are now gone. So I was like, wow, so enough time has passed. I guess it's been a few years. So that was good news.
Dude, that's good.
I don't know if you'd call it good luck, but
I mean, that's a little bit of good luck.
A little bit of good luck. Did you guys watch The Curious Case of Benjamin Button?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember how they referenced a guy that got struck by lightning 7 times, and they showed up? So that's like 5 clips of that during the movie.
Yeah.
You know that was based on a real guy.
7 times?
Yes. Let me tell you the story of Roy Sullivan.
Okay.
Roy Sullivan.
And he
struck by lightning 7 times.
He passed away in 1983, but he was struck by lightning on 7 different occasions and survived all 7 of them.
That's pretty legit.
How was he struck? Because my great grandfather was struck by lightning.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it shaved half his face off and knocked all of his teeth out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait.
So
his face, like not just like his beard.
His whole cheek right here, like this whole part was like with like a scalpel knife, like completely hanging on his shoulder, and they sewed it up, and he's missing all of his teeth. You know, the ironic part too is he was a boxer, so yeah, I guess that's one hit he didn't recover from. Really, finally knocked all his teeth out.
That was a quick one.
That was pretty dirty.
Yeah, let's go over a few of these. Let's see. The first documented lightning strike of Sullivan occurred in April 1942. He was hiding from a thunderstorm in a fire lookout tower.
He was hiding from it. Oh,
in a tall metal structure. Yep.
Dude, this guy, poor guy.
And it burned a half-inch strip all along his right leg, hit his toe, and left a hole in his shoe. So that was in 1942.
It didn't take his toe out?
I don't think so.
I wonder if it like traveled through his body and into the metal structure, like through him and then right back down into the metal structure.
Yeah, so that's how
it just completely passed.
It grounded. So he was basically the grounding mechanism.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Yeah, because the electricity has to touch ground.
Yeah.
So it finds a conduit or whatever to go through. Yeah.
Oh.
That's gnarly, man.
All right.
That's only the first one though. So there's 6 more.
That was in 1942. Let's fast forward 27 years.
27 years.
To 1969.
1969.
Is it?
He was just driving on a mountain road in his truck.
He thought he was getting away.
The lightning first hit nearby trees and was deflected onto the open window of the truck. The strike knocked Sullivan unconscious and burned off his eyebrows and eyelashes and set his hair on fire. The uncontrolled truck kept moving until it stopped near a cliff edge.
Wait, it stopped at the cliff edge?
Yep.
This might be the luckiest man alive.
How do you, I mean, unluckiest or luckiest? I mean, how
Yeah,
do you?
wow.
But he
Okay.
didn't die.
Fast forward only 1 year later.
Number
this poor
3,
bastard.
1970.
Sullivan was struck while standing in his front yard.
He's got to think God's got it out for me, man. Like,
The lightning hit a nearby power transformer and from there jumped to his left shoulder, searing it.
At that point, you gotta be like, bro, what is happening? Man?
No,
Like,
after
why?
the second one,
what
man.
is this guy? What is this guy made of, dude?
Oh.
Okay, he gets a 2-year break. In 1972, Sullivan was working inside a ranger station in the Shenandoah National Park when another strike occurred. It again set his hair on fire. He tried to smother the flames with his jacket. He then rushed to the restroom, but couldn't fit under the water tap, so he used a wet towel instead to put out his hair.
Flaming hair.
Although he was never a fearful man, after the 4th strike, he began to believe that some force was trying to destroy him and acquired a fear of death. For months, whenever he was caught in a storm while driving his truck, he would pull over and lie down on the front seat until the storm passed. He also began to believe that he would somehow attract lightning if he stood in a crowd of people and carried a can of water with him in case his hair was set on fire. All right, so he gets a oh my gosh.
This is turning into OCD, man.
He gets
What the hell?
he gets a 1-year break. He was out on patrol in the park. Sullivan saw a storm cloud forming and drove away quickly. But the cloud, he said later, seemed to be following him. When he finally thought he had outrun it, he decided it was safe to leave his truck. Soon after, he was struck by a lightning bolt. Sullivan stated that he actually saw the bolt that hit him. The lightning moved down his left arm and left leg and knocked off his shoes.
What?
So he jumped out of his shoes.
Yeah, knocked his shoes off.
Oh my god.
It then crossed over to his right leg just below the knee. Still conscious, Sullivan crawled to his truck and poured the can. And he had a can of water for this exact situation. He poured the can of water, which he always kept there, over his head, which was on fire.
Is this real?
Yeah, it's the
You
fifth,
have got
this
to
is
be
the
kidding me.
5th time.
Oh my
It's
gosh,
the 5th
man.
time. At this point, he's keeping a can of water in his truck just to pour on his head when he gets struck by lightning.
Hey,
and it
hey.
happened again. And he went and got his lightning water and poured it on his head because his head was.
I'd like to imagine that the rhino from James and the Giant Peach comes out of those clouds.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's just like, I'm not afraid of you. It's like,
Why wouldn't he just shave his head, man?
For
Like,
real.
Seriously.
goodness gracious.
So that was in 1973. The guy gets a 3-year break. The next strike on June the 5th, 1976, injured his ankle. It was reported that he saw a cloud, thought it was following him, tried to run away, but was struck anyway. His hair also caught on fire.
I would be
Oh
terrified.
my gosh.
Whew.
On Saturday morning, June 25th, 1977, Sullivan was struck by lightning while fishing in a freshwater pool. The lightning hit the top of his head, set his hair on fire, traveled down and burned his chest and stomach. Sullivan turned to his car when something unexpected occurred. A bear approached the pond and tried to steal trout from his fishing line. Sullivan had the strength and courage to strike the bear with a tree branch. He claimed that this was the 22nd time he hit a bear with a stick in his lifetime.
Dude, who is this guy?
Oh my
Wait, okay,
gosh.
so now this diverges into a whole other
my
story.
God.
Let's
Hits
look
a
up-
bear, the
look up
22nd
the-
time he's hit a bear with a stick.
Well, he worked in
Let's look up-
Shenandoah National Park.
But
Let's
still,
look up the 22 times he hit a bear in the face.
Okay, so
most times hitting a bear
BuzzFeed.
and live.
all 7 strikes were documented by the superintendent of Shenandoah National Park, R. Taylor Hoskins. Hoskins, however, was never present in any of the reported strikes and was not an active and present superintendent in Shenandoah for many of the times Sullivan was supposedly struck. Sullivan himself recalled that the first time he was struck by lightning was not in 1942, but much earlier. When he was a child, he was helping his father cut wheat when a thunderbolt struck the blade of his scythe without injuring him. Oh my gosh.
But because
Okay.
he could prove what.
You gotta think.
That tore me up.
You gotta
That
think,
is just...
What did I do in life to be struck by lightning 7 times?
Yeah, or what are you doing? Like, where are you?
Jeez.
Oh my God.
The odds of being struck by lightning for a person over the period of 80 years has been roughly estimated as 1 in 100,000. That's pretty small.
That is a lot smaller than I was expecting.
That's pretty
actually.
small.
Considering, like...
Oh, wait.
No, because
I'm sorry.
he got all 7 though, so that's like one.
It's 1 in 10,000.
10,000?
Yeah. That seems a little crazy.
How many people have been struck though? Oh no, okay, no, but it
I
goes
mean, a
into
lot,
because
yeah.
it says if the lightning strikes were independent events, the probability of being hit 7 times would be 1 in 10,000 to the power of 7.
Yeah. That's a big number.
Yeah, so that's different though because
That's a big number.
Yeah.
What?
that's pretty crazy.
Wow.
Okay, but these numbers don't quite apply to Sullivan, however, who by the nature of his work was more exposed to storms than the average person.
That's true. But
Virginia,
still.
where he lived, averages 35 to 45 thunderstorm days per year, which is the most fall in June, July, and August. Oh man, between 1959 and 2000, lightning strikes killed 58 people and injured 238 people just in Virginia.
No, okay, wow.
So it's an active area.
Still
But
though,
still,
I mean, for
7
that one
times.
guy for 7 times, yeah, that's pretty
7
incredible, man.
goddamn
Okay, here we go.
times.
We got United States figures too. In the United States, 3,239 people were killed and 13,057 injured by lightning in the same period of time.
Yeah,
So-
out of 278 million, 325 million.
330 something million. Yeah. But what the heck? Most of those were males between 20 and 40 years old. Caught in the outdoors. So,
That's
man,
poor guy, man.
it's crazy.
So how did he die?
Well, let's...
Old age.
Good point.
Just quietly.
That is funny.
Choked on a meatball.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, his wife was struck once too. When a storm suddenly arrived as she was out hanging clothes in their backyard, her husband was helping her at the time but escaped unharmed. Wow.
I
He's
wonder.
peaced out.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Wow,
If his
wow,
wife
wow.
got struck, he's probably pretty shocked by
And
that.
he's recognized by the Guinness World Record.
Yeah.
World Record says the person struck by lightning more recorded times than any other human being.
I believe it.
Jeez, oh man.
What I saw
That's
on-
bad luck.
Rip, dude. Rip.
That's really bad luck.
Oh, here we go. On the morning of September 28th, 1983, Sullivan died at the age of 71 from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Oh, that's sad.
Okay,
Hey.
wow, this just took a turn.
Sorry.
I will say 71. He still 71 years old.
He made it a while.
Yeah.
Think about what being struck by lightning 7 times to do your brain, though.
Gotta mess you
Fried.
Oh yeah, well,
Fried.
guess it did something to his hair. Man,
up.
dude.
Someone didn't like his hair, dude.
Yes, dude. Like I said, I would have shaved my head at that point. Goodness sakes, man.
Well, let's read a little bit about Frane Selak.
Is this?
Who's Frank Silak?
Supposedly the most unluckiest person in the world. He's the world's luckiest unlucky man.
Okay, so I think that would be that's a good classification. I think.
It's in the same realm as Royce. It's in the same realm as Roy Sullivan.
Does
Yeah,
does that name make you want
And
to
it's
say?
the number.
Yes.
It's the number
Christ.
7 as well. He escaped death 7 times.
Oh gosh, this is gonna be a good one.
The brushes with death started in
He's a pretty
1962
cool
when he
cat.
was riding a train through a cold, rainy canyon, and the train flipped off the tracks and crashed in a river. Salak suffered a broken arm and hypothermia. The next year, during his first and only plane ride, he was blown out of a malfunctioning plane door and landed in a haystack. The plane crashed, killing 19 people.
What?
However, there is no report of any plane crash in Croatia in 1963. 3 years after that, in 1966, a bus that he was riding skidded off the road into a river, drowning 4 passengers. Salak swam to shore with a few cuts and bruises.
Jeez.
In 1970, his car caught fire as he was driving, and he managed to escape before the fuel tank blew up. 3 years after that, in another driving incident, the engine of his car was doused with hot oil from a malfunctioning fuel pump, causing flames to shoot through the air vents. Oh, here we go with the hair again. Selak's hair was completely singed by the incident, but he was otherwise unharmed. In 1995, he was struck by a bus in Zagreb, Croatia, I guess, but sustained only minor injuries. In 1996, he eluded a head-on collision with a United Nations truck on a mountain road. I think that's the last one. Gee whiz. And then in 2003...
Hold up. That's actually a crazy story, though. Are you reading this one right here? Which gave way under the force of his car. He was ejected from the car when the door flew open. He wasn't wearing his seatbelt. Managed to hold on to a tree?
And watched his car plummet down 90 meters or 300 feet into a gorge. That's a football field.
Could you imagine being ejected, holding on to a tree?
Man. Wow. And then, God bless, in 2003,
cherry on top, right
2
here.
days after his 73rd birthday, Selak won an 800,000 euro lottery, which is $1,110,000.
Wow.
Way to go out.
At the time of his win, he also married for the 5th time. While he purchased 2 houses and a boat. In 2010, he gave most of the remaining money away to relatives and friends after deciding to live a frugal lifestyle.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
Sounds like he deserved to live.
And we're just walking through life. Nothing super bad happens. Nothing super good. We don't win the lottery. We don't get struck by lightning.
Well, we're young
And
yet.
there are these freaks out there. That is crazy, man.
You know, it's interesting to me though. You look at what the guy was doing though. I mean, he's all over the world. I mean, the guy is in some pretty amazing places.
Who?
What was his name? Fruak? What was his name?
Selak?
Or Selak?
Yeah. Frane Selak.
Yeah.
I feel like he was in Croatia.
I mean, your chances of having something happen goes up exponentially when you're traveling.
I don't think he was traveling. He was all in Croatia.
Well, the plane.
It was in Croatia.
So, it's all in Croatia.
Yeah, I think so. What's this? Zagreb. Yeah, it's in Croatia.
Well, I mean, he was
Zagreb.
traveling
He was a
places,
local
I
boy.
guess.
He was a local boy.
Crazy. That's wild. Wow, it's all in his hometown.
Man. But
Home country.
yeah, I've had some bad luck lately, but nothing.
Yeah.
Those stories made me feel better about my life,
puts
for
it into
sure.
puts it into
You still got your
perspective.
hair,
Actually,
dude.
I do feel
Still got
better.
your hair.
To tell you
For
the truth.
sure.
Still got your beautiful full head of hair.
You just still got your
Man,
hair.
could you imagine being struck by lightning so many times you started carrying around a jar of water
Yeah.
just so when your hair catches on fire?
Oh, and I'm sure that's not
very
the only thing. A cup of water is the only. I guarantee you, this guy had massive paranoia, massive
100%.
yeah.
OCD when it came to thunderstorms.
Considering there was multiple accounts where he said there was a cloud coming and it seemed to go faster and chase him.
Oh yeah.
I imagine he probably had a little paranoia.
Yeah.
This guy's encountering bears, lightning, wilderness. My God. And his wife got struck too? Yeah.
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 To top it all off.
Man. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. All right.
Zeus did not like him one bit.
Anyway, those
Blame
guys made me feel a lot better about my last couple of days. I would like to close out this section by telling a little story about my friend Sean.
Oh my gosh.
Sean the Don.
Sean is the best.
Evan knows Sean. He's seen firsthand that he tends to have a little bit of a hard time.
Oh, okay. When you
You say what you saw of Sean, and then
You-
I want to tell a different story.
well, okay, I'll start with this though. You prefaced it and you said
I did.
we're gonna be hanging out with this guy. I'm telling you right now, this guy has the worst luck. And you told me some stories. I was like, okay, those are pretty crappy stories. And then I wasn't expecting to see anything. I was just enjoying the day. We're gonna go fishing.
Yeah.
And then I witnessed it firsthand. And it's not just okay, the humorous aspect of it is not just that things are happening to him, it's his response. Because when he is in the moment, this guy is a very animated person. He's very chill, like super relaxed, like very cool guy. But when it comes down to like being affected by things or getting caught off guard or having something bad happen, he's in the moment. He's there. He's like in it, passionate. So when it goes down, you're like locked in. Like you hear something happening, like when he fell in the water. So he's got kind of like this little full body suit going on, and all I hear is just screams and yelling. And I look over, and he's kind of doing this little stumble, half dance, like in the water. And then he just trips, slips, makes this awkward like, ugh, and he just goes boom, just face down in the water, soaked from head to toe. He's screaming, yelling. He's like, my knee! Oh, my knee! Just screaming obscenities. Yeah, he's just going crazy. And me and Cameron are just dead quiet because you don't want to laugh just yet because you like it sounded bad.
But I'm used to having to do this when I'm fishing with Sean.
Yeah. Yeah, I look over, Cam's just deadpan, and I'm like, oh my God. I wanted to laugh so bad.
I have to turn away and be like...
It's so
just
bad.
holding it as hard as I could.
He's such a nice guy. He doesn't deserve it, man. He really doesn't. He's very cool, chill guy. Like, he's not doing anything super crazy. I mean, I guess he kind of goes for it when he's out there, but my little thing for him was Sean versus Wild. That's not what I always said.
Sean versus Wild.
Sean versus Wild every time he got
Sean
hurt or
versus
something.
Wild.
So
Tonight on TLC.
let me tell
Okay,
a
good
Sean
show. I'd
story.
watch it.
So this was the last fishing season. We were going salmon fishing, I believe. And the plan was for Sean to be at my house here at 4:30 in the morning, right? So he's pretty good about being on time. So he shows up, he calls me, and I'm ready to go. And he says, hey, man, I'm here. And then I hear him go, oh, no. oh, no. And then he starts cussing. And I'm like, hey, what's wrong? And he's like, just come out here. I go, he's laying in the road outside of my house. I said, what's wrong, man? And he's like, dude, I was getting ready to come over here, and I put every fishing rod I had on top of my truck and drove away from my house with them still on top of my truck. Oh. So already, I want to.
Oh no.
I want to laugh, but I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah, not quite the right time.
So I come back in here and get an extra rod from him. We zip up to North Portland to look for his fishing rods in the street. We found one of like 4. You got to think, we spend about $100 for a rod and $100 in the reel to go on it. So each one of his setups is worth about $200. So he lost about $800 in that one drive, right? We find one rod, it's smashed to pieces in the middle of Columbia Boulevard.
Yeah.
Oh, you found it. All right.
Yeah, we just found one. So then we go fishing, right? We go up to Rainier, Oregon, fish the Columbia River. Didn't catch anything. We had a good time. He kind of got in a better mood throughout the day, right? And we go to leave, and his truck is dead. Battery's dead. We're on top of a hill, so it's not a big deal, right? So he says, well, just push me down the hill, and I'll pop the clutch. He drives a standard transmission truck. I push him. He misses the clutch. So now we have a dead truck at the bottom of a hill.
Oh, no.
So then we go and gather other fishermen, and we push Sean's truck to the top of the hill again, push it down, pops the clutch, it's good. We leave. We go to Dairy Queen, which we go to Dairy Queen every time we don't catch any fish, and we have a burger and a blizzard. So we go in. He's starting to recover from the dead truck thing now, and his fishing rods, but it's weighing on him, right? We go eat Dairy Queen, come back out, get in the truck. His truck's dead again. So he's pissed now. So I get out of the car, and he pops the hood and steps out of the car and goes, oh, what was that? And he turns towards me, and I see that at the exact moment Sean stepped out of his truck, a single bird flew over and shit on his face. And he had no idea at the time. He turns to me. He gets out of the truck and turns to me, and I see a huge turd dripping off of his cheek into his beard and in his hair right here.
Oh.
And my knees almost gave out.
Oh, man.
And he was like, what? And dude, I couldn't breathe. I was crying. My stomach hurt. And after about a minute of that, I got it together and was like, a bird flew over and crapped on your face. And then he went to the middle of the parking lot, and at the top of his lungs at the Dairy Queen Rainier, Washington, spread his arms and went, what the F is going on? going?
That's terrible.
And so I push him down a hill. He gets his truck going. We get in, and we drive an hour and 20 minutes back to Portland without saying a word. And I'm looking out of my window. My face hurts. My eyes hurt. My stomach hurts.
Because you're laughing so
just
hard?
in stitches with this guy.
Man, that's
in
priceless.
stitches.
What?
Yes, dude. All that in one day.
That's so bad.
I had another friend in high school named Daniel, and he had such bad luck that within our circle of friends, anything that happened bad to somebody, we called it Smith luck, because he had bad luck.
It was Daniel Smith?
Yeah, Daniel Smith. You know, he one time he bought a big molasses slick for his dad's cows and put it in the back of his truck, didn't put the tailgate up. On the highway, it came out of the back of his truck and landed in the middle of the road. I mean, I could tell tons of stories about him too, but I don't want to waste any more time on that.
Wow.
I've been talking a lot,
Goodness
but
gracious.
yeah, that story with Sean, man.
You just have a lot of friends with bad luck.
I had a
And I'm touched these days too.
I had a coworker when I was roofing. We were doing we were putting like a paint sealant coating on the Boeing plane hangars. These huge hangars. This is where they paint the planes. Okay, and so we put this thick, really thick gray paint. I mean, it wouldn't come off of anything. Period. I mean, it's horrible stuff. So we would just get trashed every day, just trying to apply this coating up and down, and it was a pretty intense job. But anyways, this is in the summer, and my buddy Lane came to work one day, and from the moment we got there, he was just in a great mood. It was Friday, and he was nonstop talking about this hangout, this party he was going to go to later, where he was going to finally get to ask this girl out that he wanted to, and so he was real excited. And he's just kind of like low-key mentioning all day, like, oh, that party tonight's going to be so awesome. And he's like talking about how he's going to see all these people and that girl, and he's just having a great day. So we get down. There's this gigantic pump that has the big barrel of paint that siphons through a hose that goes up that we would spray and then spread on the surface of the roof. And so when we get down there, it's like there's this part of the contraption or whatever that has like a lot of pressure, and so you have to like crank this little lever or whatever and then stop the pressure, empty out the hose, and then fix the barrel and wrap it all up. Well, anyways, he couldn't seem to like yank on the lever, like it was stuck or something. So we're sitting there just messing with it for the longest time. We're kind of messing around talking or whatever, and then all of a sudden he finally is like, oh, it's right here, and he cranks it and it explodes, like boom. Dude, it literally drenched us, like completely coated the whole front of us like this. And I looked over at him and his whole face just covered in it, and I was like, oh my god. And I started laughing so hard, and I was like, dude, you're gonna look like an idiot tonight. And he's like, shut up. And he starts yelling and swearing, and then my foreman's like, I don't seem to find the humor in this at all. And so yeah, so anyway, so I got basically just chewed out for laughing, but I could not stop laughing. So we had to like, the only thing that could make it like loosen up and come off was gasoline. So we're sitting there just rubbing gasoline all over our faces. My face was on fire, his was on fire. He couldn't get it out. I was just, dude, in hysterics.
What?
The worst thing that could possibly happen. Yeah, just all over him. There's no way he was going to get it all off. So he was just, yeah, dude. He was just caked.
You don't have any stories of bad
Caked
luck
in
like
it.
that?
Not that I can think of.
Damn. I want to tell one more, but I'll make it short, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
I'm trying to get the chat to ask us questions, but a certain guy by the name of Gormless Git, a.k.a. Braden Pierce.
His name makes me laugh every time I hear it.
Gormless
It's
Git?
Gormless
Yeah.
Git in his face on the little thing is so funny.
Evan's brother.
He's the
Yeah.
funniest. He's awesome.
He won't put a real question we can answer in the chat. It's very inappropriate things.
Oh, he's being inappropriate?
Yeah, you should tell your mom.
Oh, I'm going to.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Screenshot it. Screenshot it.
So,
I got you, Braden.
Called out.
I used to make
Skit.
I got you, dude.
I used to make the concentrate that was then diluted to make Pepsi drinks. We also did Dr. Pepper and Orange Crush, Mountain Dew, Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, all that good stuff. So I would mix the recipes into a syrup, and then the syrup was mixed 5-to-1, 1 part syrup to 5 parts water, and canned into Pepsi cans. pardon moi.
Thank you.
And
Sorry, Ela.
there you go. And so, I would make the recipe, the concentrate, and then it would go into these huge tanks, and then the machine that canned the drink is actually what diluted it with water, right? So I had 2 mixing tanks. I would mix chemicals in there, and then I would push different buttons and send that to a bigger tank, right? But there was a bunch of big tanks, only 2 mixing tanks. So there was something called a valve tree, right? Where I had to take a piece of pipe, unhinge it, and then put it on the pipe to the tank I wanted to send it to.
Mm-hmm.
I was making orange crush one day, and I forgot to turn off the supply valve, which is pressurized. And orange crush was a simple recipe. I can't talk too much about it. So I take the pipe off and go to change it to the big tank, and I immediately see nothing but orange. I didn't cut off the valve.
Oh, wow.
And so I just unhooked a pressurized pipe full of orange crush concentrate. And vision went. All I could see is orange. I was wiping it from my eyes, and I cut off the valve. I looked around, and everything was orange.
Oh, no.
Everything was orange.
That's so bad.
I have a picture on Facebook of me with a completely orange face.
Yeah.
Because I had to wear a hairnet and everything like that, but my arms, my hands, my face were orange for days.
I want to see that.
For days?
For days, yeah. It's
Wow.
really, really strong stuff.
Yeah, and I was going to say, wow, that must be, and I
Yeah.
can't believe we ingest that and
Dude.
drink it.
Now I want an orange crush. What are you talking about?
They're pretty good. Pretty good.
That's awesome. So what's Braden's question?
I'm not going to say it.
You're not going to say
I'm
it?
not going to say it. We have a Drew Davidson in the
Oh,
in the
I know
chat.
Drew Davison. What's up?
he wants to know the recipes for the Pepsi drinks. Drew, I cannot tell you that. I cannot. Under penalty of felony and all that. No, I don't know. To be honest with you, you can look at the recipe on the back of the can. I just took all that raw ingredient, put it in and mixed it together. Sodium benzoate, ascorbic acid, flavorings,
A little pinch of magic.
little pinch of
A
magic.
little pinch of PCP.
Let me tell you something that's messed up about that job.
What's up?
I'm sorry I'm talking so much.
No,
Oh,
you're
good.
right.
You
I-
have
I
all- you
truly-
have all
You're
the
right.
bad
You're
I
vibes.
right.
truly apologize.
You're right.
I
Don't worry
truly
about
apologize.
it. You're good, brother. You're good. Don't worry about it.
So I worked there post 9/11, right? This was in 2011, and the sweeteners that we got, we used high fructose corn syrup and sucrose. Mostly, we used high fructose corn syrup. Sucrose was for the diet drinks and some off drinks, and they came to us in these big 18-wheelers, tanker trucks. So, number one, I had to test every truck that came in, so I had to go up top and dip a thing of high fructose corn syrup or sucrose and mix it in a certain concoction and test it for certain chemical signatures to make sure it was good. But another thing I had to do is test it, and I never quite knew why. Until several months into the job, I found out why. It's because Pepsi as a company buys so many tanker trucks of these sugars. Post 9/11, they worried that that was a target for terrorism, biological terror, that somebody might think to poison a whole container of sugar, which would go into tens of thousands of cases of drinks and hurt a bunch of people. And so I had to test it to make sure I didn't die before we used it for our drinks.
So you're like a king has like a goblet.
Exactly.
Tester?
Yeah.
Drink this.
That's
and
exactly
if you
right.
die, none of us will drink it.
You
had to
are
taste test it?
I had to taste test it. Yeah.
That's not
King
right. That can't be
Pepsi.
legal. That can't
Yeah.
be legal. They've got to have some sort of way to that can't be right.
Well, so we have Josiah
Let me see.
Shadle.
Let me see his question.
Oh, wait, he hasn't asked anything, but he said, "Why does
Gormless.
no one ever let Evan talk?" Evan, why don't you talk for a little bit?
Evan, talk.
Why doesn't anyone let me talk?
Yeah, I feel like
Speak
Evan
up,
talks.
dude.
Oh,
Speak
Josiah,
up.
Josiah.
No, chat. Feel free to ask us questions that we can answer on this family-friendly
Let
show.
me let me see.
Please.
Gormless gets. What did he say?
No.
Okay,
We're not
okay.
gonna do that.
Braden, keep it PG, brother.
So let's move on, guys. I want to talk about just a little bit about our childhood. We have about 15 minutes left.
Okay.
Childhood.
Dang, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Time flies when you're having fun. Do you guys remember your first fandom?
Yes.
What was the first thing you were really a fan of?
Oh, man.
Animated series is Nickelodeon, little Cartoon Network, maybe. You might have been an advanced child, and you might have been watching a little bit of Matlock when you were a kid. Maybe a little bit of Andy Griffith reruns.
There's a lot of animated stuff.
A lot of animated stuff.
A lot of animated stuff.
You're 26, 27?
Anime
26.
or animated?
Yeah, so
Animated.
when we were all
It was a
kids,
mix,
Cartoon
actually.
Network was
Boom,
legit.
boom, boom,
Dexter's
boom.
Laboratory,
Oh, I remember that show.
excuse me, Powerpuff Girls. Which one is it?
Powerpuff.
There it is. But do you remember your first real fandom?
It has to be a tie. Because I can't remember that far back. But it has to be a tie between... I would say... I'm just going to say all three. It has to be a tie between these three. Batman, for sure. Spider-Man,
Oh, yeah.
for sure.
Cool.
And I watched a heck of a lot of Sailor Moon when I was a kid.
Okay.
A lot.
Back when it was
No
on
kidding.
TV.
A lot.
I didn't know
Fresh
you were a fan
episodes,
of
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's
When-
that's
when I was
really
in-
cool.
When I was in Hawaii, it was like a lot of Sailor Moon. There was this other show. It's an anime. It's really old, actually. It dates. It's pretty. It goes back pretty far. Is Shin-chan.
Shin-chan.
Yeah. It's a pretty dirty show. I don't know if it was quite as dirty in Japan. I imagine it probably was, but my grandma thought it was the funniest stuff ever, and I would
Wow.
be cracking up too because he would just show his butt all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was like his whole thing is he pulled down his pants.
This was
He showed his
animated?
butt. Yeah,
I've never heard of this before.
we should check it out.
So,
it's pretty fun.
how old are you?
Pretty young.
So this aired. So they had stuff like that airing over here at that time. Oh, I guess it would.
Yeah.
I don't
Ren
know
and
why I
Stimpy.
thought you were older or something. But.
Ren and Stimpy was one of those shows
Oh.
that I kind of watched, but I probably wasn't allowed to. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
also
yeah.
off-color stuff in Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Can I-
There was this really strange show that I only saw one time when I was a kid. Only one time. But I remember it was like two like animals, like a dog. Maybe it was cat dog.
Cow and Chicken.
But no, it was like cat
It was
dog.
Cat Dog, yeah.
Like bit and like ripped off like half of his body or something. I remember it was graphic. Like I saw it on TV and I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy."
It's a cartoon.
Yeah.
Might be Ren and Stimpy then.
Oh no, it was. I thought it was like a kids show, but I was really surprised by it. That's the only thing I can remember. But
It would either have to be Ren and Stimpy or Cow and Chicken because those are the only shows that were like shouldn't be a kids show.
right.
My sister Chelsea dropped in. Hey, Chelsea, welcome
Hey,
What's
girl.
up,
to the
Chelsea?
Infinite Variety Show. And can I bring up something since you
Welcome,
mentioned showing the butt? Whatever happened to mooning? I feel like it died off.
It's kind of weird now.
Yeah,
It's kind of a weird spot.
yeah.
For what?
Mooning.
Mooning?
Yeah, that was like the ultimate. That was like, flipping somebody off times 10. If you could get a good moon in,
I had a bunch of my friends moon me and it was terrible.
It was terrible for you to get mooned.
Yeah, I don't want to see someone else's butt.
Right, that's exactly the point. But now you don't see very many full moons out these days.
No.
Oh well, times have changed.
It's public
You-
indecency.
So
we don't
back to
want
the
it
back to the
on
thing
TV.
that you said you were talking about fandom.
Yeah, what's the first thing you were really a big fan of?
Mine was 100% Lord of the Rings. I was more.
You stole
it,
my answer.
it might have been for a lot of people though. That's what I was gonna say to start. I was gonna preface it with this might be a cliche, but honestly, it was Lord of the Rings. I was like, just it almost changed my life.
It
like,
did change
and
mine.
how I saw the world
Mm-hmm.
and my interests and creativity and imagination. It like opened up this whole other realm of God, man. It was just so exciting. Like it was. I was I think 9 or 10, maybe 8, 9 or like 8 or 9 or whatever. Oh, you got this stuff. Gross.
Anyway,
I
I was in 5th grade.
I was pretty
Up.
young. I was pretty young, and I remember I couldn't see the first one in theaters because my parents thought it was too much. It would have been too intense. So I got to see it when it came out on VHS, And I remember that, and I remember being so excited.
VHS, huh?
VHS, yeah.
Wow, dude.
I came home from this little church camp that I was at, and my parents said, we have a surprise for you, and they picked me up, and then they had the VHS waiting for me. And I remember I was just like,
Fellowship, right?
yeah, I just lost it. It was
Watched
the
it
most
the other night.
exciting
It's
time
on
of my
Netflix.
life.
Man.
And to this day, it is still so good.
Yeah,
It's
it
just,
is.
it was way ahead of its
It holds
time.
up. It does.
Absolutely. Yeah, but that was, I mean, I had like action figures, posters, like I had a full cardboard, 6-7 foot tall cardboard cutout of Legolas. I had everything, video games, had all the
Sick,
movies. I watched all like the special features. I started trying to write my own books that were way too close to Lord
I
of
did
the
the
Rings.
same thing, dude. I did the same thing.
My mom would always
this
say,
is how it goes, my friend.
my mom would always say to me, she's like, that sounds a lot like Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, yeah,
You're
but
like,
it's
no,
my
it's not,
idea.
Mom. You don't understand.
It's my idea, Mom. I came up with that.
It's different, I swear.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I read The Hobbit when I was in 5th grade, instant fan, and I was in 5th grade in the year 2000. And so I remember, okay, so I inherited those books from my dad, right? He had a 50th anniversary edition of The Hobbit, and I remember the conversation. I was sitting, I remember it like it was yesterday, actually. I was sitting on the edge of a recliner. He told me to sit there. He said, I have some news for you. It's like, what? They're making Lord of the Rings into movies, and the first one comes out next year. And
Did you cry?
I was pretty excited.
So you had only read The Hobbit at this point?
I can't remember where I was. I'm pretty sure I had read more than just The Hobbit, but yeah. And then for all 3 movies, we took my friend Adam O'Malley, which now lives here in Portland, for his birthday to all 3 movies at the one theater in town. But before I was in 5th grade, we didn't really watch a lot of TV when we were kids, but I remember getting a Stretch Armstrong figurine for Christmas one year. I don't remember developing that fandom, but that toy was my favorite toy.
Stretch Armstrong?
Stretch
Destroy
Armstrong.
all
What is
toys.
that?
It's just it was a toy, and again, I don't even know how deep this world is around that character, but it was a doll. He was like a superhero, I think, and his ability was he could stretch his body very far. So the dolls,
Mr. Fantastic is what it sounds like.
no, it was Stretch Armstrong, but his arms you could stretch him out like almost as a kid, pretty much indefinitely, and his whole body could stretch.
Oh,
It was cool. And I was like a casual fan of Power Rangers too, which I think a lot of us around this age were Power Rangers fans.
So
Rangers.
what was that
Yeah.
about? What was the big thing about that? Was the Green Ranger, right? Was that the big thing? Or
He was he was the edgy guy because he was like evil, and then he like.
There was a big twist, wasn't there? When
Yeah.
you thought one of them died, and then
I don't remember that.
spoilers,
Whoa, dude.
one of them died, and then
never
he came
watched
back,
it.
and it's like
Come on.
actually the White Ranger was the Blue Ranger or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember. My girlfriend I think told me about that. I think that was her.
I'd have to take it back then. I would probably have to say Batman, Power Rangers, and Spider-Man.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Do you guys like that?
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty gangster, dude. I like those. I always wish I had action figures of those. But
My first exposure to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was that live action movie that came out in the 90s.
oh yeah,
Yeah, dude.
yeah.
Yeah.
Since we're on the topic of Lord of the Rings, have you guys seen the animated Lord of the Rings movie?
I've seen the animated
the
Hobbit
the cartoon version
from the 70s.
There's an animated Lord of the Rings one too, in like the same style.
Really?
The Hobbit one's better, but there is a Lord of the Rings one. We should all watch it and goof on
we
it
should.
at some point.
I would love to actually. It's like one of my favorites. But I think that personally, the Hobbit game for GameCube was my all-time favorite video game for the longest time. It's so good. It's so true to the book. Obviously, they stretch their creativity a little bit, but
And
it's
they have to.
it's just instant nostalgia every time I play it. It was a huge favorite. I don't like what they did with the movies, but Peter Jackson was like, it's impressive what he did with what he had.
Yeah.
Extremely impressive. He made a great movie, but he didn't have the freedom to do it.
The Hobbit movies.
Guillermo del Toro screwed it. Just totally screwed it up.
What? The Hobbit?
I don't think
Oh, yeah.
so.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
Peter Jackson took it over.
He did not completely redo it though, and he only had 2 years. Guillermo del Toro had 4, just like Peter Jackson with the other films, but Peter Jackson only had 2 years to produce that film.
I would go as far to say as it was probably neither of their fault, because usually when movies are screwed up like this and aren't but all the movies felt very unfinished and felt very rushed.
Yeah, oh no, you're exactly right. He was writing scenes on set. He would send people to break and then write the rest of the scene and film it. That's impressive for him to come up with what he did.
Well, and that comes that like ties into it with me saying that it was probably the movie, like the movie, or like the what do you call it? The people running the whole thing, the high corporate people,
Producers.
Yeah.
The ones who are usually pushing, like, we need to get this out right now. We're gonna do 3 movies. We're not gonna do 2. We want to make as much money as we possibly can. Anytime there's something that goes terribly wrong like this, it's always that.
Yeah, it's the pressure, exactly. He had
It's always the pressure. It's always the
2 years.
push.
He had 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's just not fair with a universe as big as that, and also with the expectation to do 3 films. I mean, the guy threw in characters that didn't even exist, and the CGI alone, like if you think about the old Star Wars films with the prosthetics and stuff that they used, that made them so real, right? So he wanted to do the same thing with The Hobbit, but it was so CGI that it was like, it just wasn't, it didn't have the same atmosphere as the old films. Like, I continue to see those films and want to rewatch them, but then I remember and I'm like, it didn't feel like the old ones. It felt just too, I don't know.
I know too, it was like almost a completely different production team too.
And I don't want
I
to
didn't look into that.
like.
Interesting.
I think that. Well, we don't have time to get into it, but I think that Peter Jackson had a heavier hand than you might think he did. He had a pretty heavy hand in it.
Yeah.
And some of the decisions that I disagreed with were directly from Peter Jackson and the direction he took the film. But also something that he did that was because again, Gollum won so many awards.
Yeah, Andy
what
Serkis.
he did there was groundbreaking.
Yeah, Andy Serkis was actually the
But
guy
it was
behind that.
Yeah, kind of the same, but the technology,
Mhm.
And then James Cameron also used that to create Avatar. A lot of the same technology, motion capture and stuff. And one of the technological leaps they made with the Hobbit movies that has still not been adopted and might never be, but they speculate was going to be the next big thing, was shooting and exporting the files in 60 frames per second.
I hope not.
So
it was that was strange.
It is strange. It's got a very strange look and feel, but people seem to think this is the future.
The characters, though, like when you look at it and the amount of detail in the costumes and stuff, you could see that they're just prosthetics. Like, it looked like you were watching a play rather than
you had to get a lot more
a film. You could see the fine detail of the hairs and stuff. It just, watching those films, it didn't feel like you were involved in like a mysterious alternate universe or world. You were constantly taken out of it by just the kind of dorkiness of the costumes and like how just the scenes. Almost like when you watch a soap opera, like when you watch a soap opera, you know what I mean? It's kind of like your eyes aren't accustomed to it. So
a good to kind of tie it up, a good example I would say of what I'm saying is like as far as like pushing production way faster than it should be going is Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3 was a train wreck.
Wreck.
Yeah. Awful.
That's the one where he's like in the bar and he like messes up his hair a little bit. He gets all bad.
I will say I need to go back and rewatch it because I've had some conversations with some people and I can't really place why. I mean, there's a lot of things where I'm like, that's dumb, but like I can't really place exactly why that movie is so awful. And I need to go back and like trace my steps.
Rewatch it, yeah.
But like the higher ups, like producers, whatever you want to say, were pushing him so bad that he basically self-sabotaged that movie. Because Sam Raimi is an amazing director, and he did the first 2, Spider-Man 1 and 2, which are awesome.
And the second one was with what was that guy's name? The octopus guy?
Dr. Octavius.
Dr. Octavius. That guy's a pretty good actor.
Yeah.
I feel like it wasn't too bad of a movie. I remember it being pretty okay.
Yeah, 1 and 2 are awesome.
Yeah.
3 is just like out the door. It's just like, what's happening? This
Right.
is
Just
way
took a
different.
turn. Yeah.
Yeah. It's because it was just pushed because Spider-Man was doing so well at the time.
That's too bad, man.
Or at least that's what I've come to understand, at least. Pretty cool
Well,
stuff.
on that note, we are out of time. Thank you guys so much for hanging out once again. We stream every Wednesday night here at the Infinite Variety Show YouTube channel. Come hang out. Ask us questions in the chat. Follow us on social media at the Infinite Variety Show handle on all platforms. And check the description for our personal handles. And we will see you next week. And again, I'll remind you that next week is our last episode of our first season.
Finale.
And
That was 9.
Huh?
It was 9 next week.
Today's 9.
Oh, today's 9.
Today's 9. Next
I
week
thought
is...
it was 8. You said 8 in the beginning. I thought it
Oh
was
no!
8.
Next week is 10, and then we'll wrap up. We're not streaming for the month of December. We're going to be in pre-production for season 2, which is going to be a completely different look and feel and atmosphere. And we hope you come and join us there too.
It's
Yeah.
gonna get
So-
crazy. Just wait.
We'll try to make a
see.
banger of an episode next weekend for you guys, as we're so appreciative for you tuning in every week.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you there.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Bye bye, guys.
Love you guys.